Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm respectful of other people's time here. So thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about when do you know that it is time to rebrand and how to actually go about doing that. Okay. So here are kind of the steps I'm going to walk through with you today. And we're going to start with, why is it that you should care about anything I have to say? I'm going to give you a little bit of background on my experience with branding and marketing. And then we're going to walk through how to evaluate your current brand, how to identify your next ideal client and craft that client persona, how to define what your new value proposition will be for your rebrand, how to create the brand, what does that actually include, and then actually communicating your new value proposition to your target clientele. So first, my name is Channing Muller. I am the principal and founder of DCM Communications. I have a wonderful degree from the University of Miami, and I've served in a top position at BizBash for more than 10 years, originally starting in Miami, then expanding to the entire Florida market, and then moving to Washington, D.C. and covering all of the events in that area. This has obviously given me a lot of experience in the event industry specifically, but throughout both advertising and editorial, I really had a chance to really get to know what it is that matters most to event professionals and how you go about doing your jobs through covering events like Super Bowl, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, the South Beach Wine and Food Festival for many years, as well as the key planners in the Times Square New Year's Eve ball drop every year in New York. Some of the brands I've had a chance to work with, Nike, Bud Light, Maxim, event planner David Tutera, these are really important people and they're very big and influential. And so through my time talking with them, I got to learn about how is it that they do events so that we can better serve the clients with DCM Communications. I also have a background in advertising design, and at one point was managing and executing more than 300 campaigns simultaneously across 12 different e-newsletters. I then moved into the marketing side of communications and worked for a software company doing local marketing first within the US and then expanding to doing international marketing across 9 different countries, including the successful rebrand of said companies in recreating 10 websites in 10 months. It was very aggressive. I had an amazing team supporting me. I do not recommend ever taking on something quite that large again. But it just goes to show that I've kind of built this business with a lot of different expertise across various different geographical areas, as well as experiences throughout the communications and marketing fields. I also, if you were looking to meet more people like yourselves who are kind of building your own businesses in the live events industry, I encourage you to join Events Entrepreneurs. It is a Facebook group that I have started. A lot of people from all over the country are in there. A variety of vendors and planners give you another kind of resource to bring together this community. So first, you're going to evaluate your current brand. Okay, this is to determine, do you even need to rebrand? So first we have to define what makes up your brand. Okay, it is more than just a logo. Your typography is part of your brand, right? Do you use fonts that have serifs or no serifs, right? The little tails kind of on the end there. What are your company values? What is the tone of voice that you use in your copywriting, as well as in any videos you do, as any webinars? What type of photography is there? And then what are your colors? Right? Everybody needs to have a primary and a secondary color palette, okay? All of these things come together, make up what your brand is. A brand is articulated in 2 different ways, online and offline. Online, it's first done by you, right? You can control your website, your social media, both the content as well as the branding and color choices on there, press releases that you send out, and your content marketing. Content marketing including anything from your blog posts, your email campaigns, webinars, downloadables, things like that. And then your brand is also articulated online by other people. So that's editorial coverage, right? If you get spotlights in any blogs or on magazines, websites, as well as any reviews that your clients are sourcing and posting about you, right? This is stuff that's done by them. You don't really have control over it outside of the fact that you provided the service. So of course, you're hoping it's always going to be positive, right? And then the way that you articulate your brand offline is just as key as online. And that is through the events that you create themselves, your relationships with your clients, the way that you present yourself at networking events, right? You want to keep that tone of voice pretty consistent to, if it's your company and your brand, you want it to match you in person, should be the representation of who you are online and who your company is, right? You want it to be that very seamless experience so that you really are living your brand when you're out at these events and putting a face to the company that they have come to know online. You also get your brand through customer referrals, right? That is another way that is outside of your control, but that is passed along that represents what your brand is all about. So how do you determine, is it time for me to rebrand? Before you take that step, the first thing you need to do is evaluate the status of your current brand. Okay, you don't just want to rebrand everything because I don't like one color anymore, right? These are some of the questions that you want to start and things to think about when you decide if you're going to rebrand. First one, are you losing prospective clients to your competitors? Okay, you see prospects coming in the door, maybe you're filling out RFPs, but they end up going with a competitor over you. Okay, that could be one reason to rebrand. Are you attracting the wrong clients? Right? If you have a specific idea and a client persona built out of who you're trying to reach, but when someone comes to you, whether they come through your website or it's a lead through social media or it is a lead that picks up the phone and calls your business, if they don't represent what your ideal client is, and you end up not producing the proposal or you're creating a contract and the events don't really go as planned, or one of the big things in my company is that I love what I'm doing and I want to love all the people I work with. If you're not loving the people that you're working with and you're not having fun every single day, why start your business, right? You want to focus on those that you want to put out the best work when you're happy with what you're doing and the people that you're working with. So if you're not attracting the right clients, that could be a reason to rebrand, right? Is it the wrong type of event that's coming to you? Are they the wrong personality? Are you spending time on those RFPs and making them really detailed and then they don't close? And not one-off here or there, but consistently over time. Are you not making the money that you want to be making, right? If you want to be a luxury event agency or a luxury planner, luxury vendor, you need to make sure that your brand is articulating that you understand that lifestyle. And then look at, does your brand actually represent who you and your company are? It's expected throughout the lifetime of a company that you're going to need to rebrand at one point. Whether you completely change the company name or you completely change the logo or you just refresh what you currently have there will depend on the brand equity. And the brand equity is the reputation that you have built up, and the positive equity that comes with the existing brand will determine how much of a change you make. So here are some of the questions to ask before you decide that you're going to rebrand. What type of client am I currently attracting? Okay, you want to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, we all have companies and we all get clients that turn out to not be what you expect, right? You want those to be in the lower percentage of your overall client portfolio, right? There's always going to be difficult times. I'm not saying it's going to be perfect. I'm not saying everyone is going to be perfect that you work with, but what are the best things about the clients that you're attracting? And then what are some of the worst, right? What are the things that you're noticing that there's a certain pattern of trait that is consistent across a lot of clients you've been getting recently? That might be because you're putting out a message that attracts that type of person, right? Those that, if you want to be super creative and you want to be able to have free reign with everything, but you have more of kind of a professional, straightforward type of buttoned up brand, you may not be showcasing the fact that you want to attract creative people and those that are more whimsical, right? So your brand needs to represent that. Secondly, ask yourself, How do other prospects respond when you explain what it is that you do and what your services are? Okay, do they get it? Are they having a lot of questions? And then what are your reviews like online? If people are consistently saying really awesome things about one of your services, but never acknowledging the other, maybe you don't need to rebrand, maybe you just need to refocus your marketing efforts, okay? Or if you're consistently running into maybe the same type of criticism, right? That might be something else that says, okay, I need to reevaluate the way that I'm presenting myself. So, does anybody comment on your logo, your website, or your blog? Okay, look at those things. Look at what people are actually saying to you. You can send out surveys to your current clients or to your prospects, but you can also look at what they're automatically providing for you in their commentary. Are they saying things like, you're so creative or you're so professional? Or do they get confused about what it is that you're actually offering, right? Maybe you think that you're portraying this image. I'll go back to the luxury example, that you can be a luxury wedding planner and that's what you want. But then you get someone who says, oh, I thought you were a floral designer because you have so many pictures of the flowers, but not really the rest of the wedding on your website or on your social media. Okay. Those are things that you want to really keep consistent so that you're articulating who you want to reach. Why is it that your clients choose you over your competition? If you don't know, ask them, right? It's a really great way. And most of your clients, because they've already signed up to be with you, will be pretty straightforward and open to telling you why it is that they hired you. Okay. As the business owner, it can be a little difficult to ask that sometimes because we tend to take things very personally because this is, our baby. This is our dream and our project. But the more that you can get out there and really ask, it really is important to get that unbiased opinion. They are your clients already. If you're not sure what your value proposition is, ask them, what did I offer that someone else didn't? It might be the price, might be the service, could just be your wonderful sparkling personality, could be the quality of the product. Okay, you need to find out so that you can articulate it. If it's really good and it's something that's making you money, rebranding may not be the answer. And then what feelings do your colors and your logo evoke from people? Okay. If you're a corporate planner and you've got a lot of curlicues or flowers in your logo, then people may be thinking that you do weddings. Okay. Do you have colors that say you're very professional and you're trying to target the corporate market, but actually in reality, you're looking for, to get more social business, or you want bar and bat mitzvahs, or you want international groups, right? If you want people that are more professional and corporate, you need to have a logo that's going to resonate with them. You can't have a ton of curly cues. You can't have lots of pink and really bright colors. And those are things that are going to hit a wedding audience more traditionally. Okay, so you've gone through these questions. You've decided, I need to rebrand, right? There's something that's broken here and I need to fix it. My brand is really just not articulating who I am and what my company does. Now, what do you do? Okay. First thing you've got to walk through is you got to identify, really get into who is your ideal client and craft a new client persona. Because even if you had one before, it was not accurate enough if you've determined that it's time to rebrand, right? Because what you've done is decided, I thought I knew who I was reaching, not actually resonating with them. Okay, now we need to really get more detailed. Start by doing that. You got to identify who is your ideal client. Okay, go ideal only. Who is your white whale? Who is that person that gets you so excited to work with them, right? Maybe it's a vendor. Maybe it is referral business from someone else. Maybe it's the CEO of a company. Maybe it's always the mother of the bride. Then once you start to work through this, right, we're going to identify who's your white whale. We got to think about the things you love about your job and the things you absolutely hate. Okay, you got to be able to break these apart so that you can start to identify who fits in the ideal and who doesn't, so you don't waste time on those RFPs that aren't going to close. So step one, what are your favorite aspects about your job? What gets you doing a happy dance, right? List those out. Could take you 2 minutes, could take you 20 minutes, right? But really sit down and get very detailed about it. What are the things you love the most? Do you love a flexible schedule? Do you love specific types of events? Do you like information provided to you from your client? Do you like having more free reign? Okay. So the way you do this is you start at the high level. What types of events do you like working on? Weddings, social occasions, corporate, associations, nonprofits. Okay. Super high level. Then you go the next step. Once you focus right now, just things you love to do. Then let's get a little more specific. In weddings, what type of weddings do you want to do? Do you want to work on religious weddings, more alternative weddings? Do you only want to work with heterosexual couples, or do you maybe only want to work on gay weddings, right? Are you looking for those that are more opulent, or do you want those that are a little bit more traditional and reserved and focused on the venue instead of the decor, or vice versa, right? Each one of these types of events is going to be a different type of client. So first we focus on the types of events you like, and then you get further into the clients that want those events. So on social occasions, you can't just say I do social, because that includes a lot of things. Do you want to do baby showers, or do you want to do birthdays? Do you want to do retirement parties? You can do bar and bat mitzvahs, right? These are all considered social occasions, but they have very different clients. The bar and bat mitzvah client is not going to be the same as the corporate retirement party. And that's going to be two completely different areas that you're going to need to target. So really think about what are the ones that you love to do. From a corporate perspective, these are just a sample of the types of events that factor into what is called, quote unquote, corporate event planning. Meetings, conferences, incentive trips, trade shows, C-level entertainment, and off-site meetings. Okay, these are all very different, require very different skill set. Some people can do all of it, and that's great, and you can specialize just in the corporate. I highly recommend that you narrow these down as much as possible, because the more you can be narrow, the more focused you are in an area, people see you as an expert in servicing that market rather than trying to do everything and coming across as not necessarily an expert in anything. From the association and nonprofit standpoint, there are fundraisers, there are galas, cocktail parties, and there's like individual volunteer events, right? Every one of these provides a different level of expertise as well as a completely different client. So figure out what is it that you absolutely love doing. Then we're going to look at what are your least favorite aspects of your job. Okay, I absolutely love this face that Jennifer Lawrence has here, because it's like, there are some things about my job that you just don't love, and everybody's going to have these. The quicker you can identify them, the better it will be. Because the point is that you want to build a business for the life that you want, right? This is not working in a business just to have a job and, that's what it is. You want to love it, and I want to make sure that you love it, and that's one of the things that I pride myself on and have built my business and work with my clients on, is making sure that you have a business for a life you want. You want to work crazy hours all the time because that is what you thrive on. That is awesome. And that is what matters for you. Somebody else's life may be different, but we all have things we're going to want to outsource. We're going to want to delegate to other people. So now go back to that same list of events that we had before, okay, and think about, of this same list, what are your least favorite ones to work on? Okay, we already focused on the first and the ones that you love. Now make the list of the ones that you really don't. Okay, this is going to help you craft your mission statement, and we're going to get a little bit closer to the ideal people you're going to work with and who you're going to target. So when you zoom in on them, you can build a brand that's going to resonate with those people. So we're going to look at your client traits. Okay, these are the events you love doing. In this other column, we've got the events that you really don't love doing. Every one of those has a different client. So now, what are the traits of your client? Okay, so first, start and think about who is the person that's actually hiring you. Okay, if you're a wedding planner or work in weddings, is it the couple that's getting married that's hiring you, or is it the parents of the bride or groom? If you're doing social occasions, is it somebody's spouse, or is it another event planner, right? If you're a vendor, is the event planner hiring you, or is the end client hiring you? Again, you want to think back to the ideal aspects here, right? Because the more you can focus on this, then again, you're going to start attracting that person, not the, oh, I can do anything. Because an event, you're trying to target an event planner, you need to speak to them in a different way than if you're trying to target the end client, right? So you got to look at that from a corporate perspective. Are you talking to the CEO of the company, or are you talking to the marketing manager who's also in charge of events? Okay. Then you start again with the high level, and then you get more specific. From the high level, based on who that person is, what is their age and level of career development? Reaching a 25-year-old entrepreneur is going to be done in a different way than reaching a CEO who's over 60 or over 50, right? 25-year-old is probably going to be on social media a lot. The CEO is most likely not on social media, but does respond to email marketing. Okay, so you see where the connections are between these. The more you understand the person, again, then you can figure out where do you find them. Same thing of what do they do for fun? If they're going out to eat, do they go to more high-end restaurants, or are they kind of on the lower end of things, right? Are they always at the hip new opening spot, or are they a little more traditional and they like the old favorites in whatever city they're in? And you look at these things. This will also factor into not just whether you target for email versus social, but also the time of day. So their family dynamic, for example, if they're not married, they may be working longer hours, right? Because they don't have anybody necessarily to be home for with the family at a certain set time for dinner. They also may work on weekends sometimes. If they've got kids, that could be shifting who their schedule is. Are they doing a flexible work schedule so they come in earlier in the day and leave earlier? Okay, these are all things that will affect how it is that you reach them, and that you can use in your Facebook targeting when you're doing advertising, right? Because you can base it around these types of lifestyle factors. What is the client's role in planning? Okay, are they super in your face and they're involved in every step, or do they hire you and they're like, okay, you're the expert, do what you've got to do, this is the end result I need? And then we got to walk back through what are your least favorite types of clients and events to work on. Okay, you're going to keep coming back to this, your favorite and then your least favorite. Okay, this will help you work through it. You've identified who your client is, and now we need to define your value proposition for them. I'm going to say this very clearly. Your value is not a price, okay? Your value is the effect that you are going to have on their life that is not necessarily a price tag yet, okay? First, how do you define your value? One, you've got to look at the service that you're offering, okay? Wedding planning and association meeting planning are not the exact same quotient, okay? So you have to look at what is it that you're offering. Weddings can be charging more than baby showers. Second, where are you located? You have to be cognizant of where in the country you are and the price point within that city. A wedding in New York is not going to be the same price as a wedding in Birmingham, Alabama. Same thing for incentive travel and trade shows. Okay, these are very different based on the geographical market. Third, look at the problems you solve for your client. Okay, so this goes back to the value you're offering. What are the problems they have if they don't hire you? What are the problems that they have that you can solve, right? You can give them more time with their family. You can make sure their meeting runs efficiently. They reach their goal as far as product sales. And what is the difference between you and your competitors? Okay, service, geographic location, problems you solve for your clients, and the differences between you and your competitors, what you offer that they don't. That's how you determine your value and your value proposition. So ask yourself, what problems will a prospect have if they don't work with me, right? This is not just necessarily with their event, but what problems will it have and the effect on their life? Will they lose time with their family? Will they be at work longer hours? Will they have more frustration? Is that going to affect their health, their normal exercise routine, or their eating habits? These are all things that create a need for you to provide their service. Because then you can flip that and say the benefits to their life if they do hire you. If you understand the problems that your prospective clients will have if they don't hire you, you can better offer the solutions which will make your sales pitch become a given that they say yes. So what problems will a prospect have if they don't work with you? And how will working with another company affect their life, right? It'll affect their job, but then take it a step further. How would it affect their life? These are the questions that are going into developing your value proposition. All right, so quickly recap. We've defined the service that you provide on paper, okay? Your going rate in the market that you're in, the problems your client will have if they don't hire you, the benefits that you bring to the table that nobody else does. This is how you're going to create your mission statement, okay? So we take all these together. Say, I am the happiest when I am working on events that are. Go back to that list of events that you loved working on and pick out the top 3 to 5 from your list, and you put them here. Okay, I'm the happiest when I'm working on events that are. I refuse to work on events that, and write out the top ones from that least favorite category. Okay, this again ties back to all of the branding. When you know the events you're trying to be happiest, when you're working on them, that's how you're going to target people. That will define the value of your brand and the direction. Then I only work with clients who. What are some of those client traits that you loved, right? This eliminates those who don't fit that. And that next step, I refuse to work with clients who, what? The exact opposite of the other ones. They're not accountable. They're not actually the decision maker. I want creative freedom and they don't allow for it. They want to send me a list of things to do. This all ties together, okay? And then the benefits the clients gain from working with me, okay? Pull out your top ones. One of the biggest questions, why do we have to be so absolute, right? I want to service a lot of people, or like there's a lot of, well, if they want this, I can do that. The answer is this. The more time that you spend chasing the wrong client and the wrong event who's never going to end up closing for you, the less time you have for the right one who will see your value. The time you spend doing, 5 revisions on a proposal for somebody who then doesn't decide to go with you could have been spent better targeting the one person who needed one proposal and said yes because they get it, because you spoke directly to them. So you've gone through and decided, okay, I need to rebrand. These are the events that I love working on. This is the person that I love working with. Now we need to, and this is what makes me better than my competition and different. These are the problems I solve. Now we need to create a new brand that conveys that value proposition. So remember this, these are the elements of your brand. Now that you know the types of events you like working on and the person that you like to work with, okay, and I will say you may have more than one client persona. You want to focus on the ideal client and who's going to be the 80% of your business. There may be 2 different people, okay? You may need to develop a second client persona for a second service or product offering. But what you got to look at here, make decisions to your brand. What type of colors will this ideal client I've created respond to? Do they want bright colors? Do they want more muted tones? Do they want really dark, strong colors that convey a sense of, real strength and certainty? Okay. What type of tone of voice do you use? Okay. If you're trying to target the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, being a little bit more snarky may not be the right answer, right? They may want to be like straightforward, short amounts of copy. Whereas somebody who's a bride may be looking for more photos, right? They don't need a ton of copy at all. They want really get to the point. I want to see pictures of what you've done, okay? These things all factor in. So your branding priorities are this. Number 1, do you need to evaluate your company name and you got to change your logo, okay? You may not have to change your company name, but these are the first 2 things you work on. You follow that up with your brand colors. Your logo does not have to incorporate all of your brand colors and most likely shouldn't. It should only be 1, 2, maybe 3 colors. And then you develop a full color palette from that. Then you can decide on your typography. And then you create full brand guidelines, which is for anybody, internal or external, to know exactly what the color codes are, the typography, and how to use your logo. So here's an example of a rebrand, the colors, logos, and guidelines that I created for one of my clients, okay? My designers and I worked on this together, and you'll notice this brand board has what we've talked about, right? A new logo, okay, that shows you the right ways to use it, different submarks, okay? These are something that you should definitely be asking your designer for, because they are what are going to show up in your social media profiles when your logo is too small to actually be seen fully, okay? It's also going to be in that little tab at the top of a browser. It's called a favicon that showcases what your company is, and you've got a lot of different tabs open. This is the primary color palette. There's a secondary color palette. And on here, it's a little small to see right now, but there is all of the exact color codes for this CMYK, which is the print colors, RGB, and the hex colors, okay? RGB and hex are what are used in digital, all right? And all of that is gonna factor into your website design and the rest of your branding, okay? So that's why these logos and colors are really the first step in the guidelines of how to use them, okay? Then you update your brand. First thing you're gonna start with is your website, and then your social media, all of your other brand assets, and your content marketing. So starting with your website, okay, here's another rebranded website that I worked on, okay? You'll notice there is a completely new photo right here on the main page. They have exactly who they are trying to target is articulated right away, right? This is their value proposition and what separates them. We believe a beautiful and meaningful wedding is the best way to begin a life as a married couple, and we're the wedding planners to make that happen, okay? This here is a very big photo. Clearly, they're wedding planning. They're not doing absolutely everything. And then there's very clear colors. You notice a big navy banner at the top ties into the navy of the logo. The navy is right here. There's a bright pop of pink down here. Then when you look at your colors and choices, right, you have to look at the photos that are chosen. These all factor into the overall color palette that was designed. And you'll notice the navy blue here, consistent. It comes through in these subheadings: full service wedding planning, as well as wedding management. And then the pink and the maroon, like that darker burgundy color that were chosen, come out in both the photos as well as the calls to action, which are pointed out here at the bottom of the screen, okay? Those really in the red are gonna stand out and draw the eye's attention. Once you look beyond the colors, you have to determine how do you want to sound. Very matter of fact. Do you want to be more conversational? Do you need to be more buttoned up and professional? Do you want to be, full of puns, right? If that's the way that you talk and that is the way that you want your brand to be represented, and that's what people love about you is, your humor or your wit, have that come through in the tone of voice on the copy of your website. So here are some of the things to look for when you're updating your website. First, you want to check out the photography. Okay, do you need to update it to resonate with that target client persona you built out? Where is your logo placed? Okay, if you noticed on both of those websites, the logo is at the top or in the top left corner. It's not huge. It's not in the middle of the page. It doesn't obstruct the navigation. Then the use of the colors. How do you want your colors to showcase on your headings, on your calls to action, on the buttons of the page? And then the overall user experience. So for any designers, this means it's the UX, okay? And that's how do you want people moving through the website? The navigation should be easy to reach. From navigation, if they click on a page, is there a call to action that takes them to a contact form or takes them to a sub-page from that with more information about that service? And then the tone of voice overall. Do you need to completely rewrite your copy, or do you just need to update some of the headings and maybe do some edits to the tone overall? So when you've looked at your website, before you launch it, you want to check out your social media too, okay? Ideally, you're going to time all of this to be launched at the same time. There is a lot of different social platforms out there, okay? And one of the biggest questions that I get all the time from clients, prospects, and Facebook group members alone is, which one am I supposed to be using? This is how you're going to determine that, okay? One, which one does your target audience use the most for fun? Okay, because that's where you're going to be able to reach them when they're not at business hours. If they're scrolling on Facebook at night, You want to be on Facebook. You want to disrupt that normal news feed of puppies and babies and politics and really get in front of them when they're paying attention to it. You also want to ask, which one are they using the most to get recommendations? So if they go to Facebook and they do a poll of all of their friends to get recommendations for restaurants or doctors or contractors to work with, that's where you want to be. If they go to LinkedIn groups, because those are really great for professional recommendations, then that's where you want to show up. And finally, once you've tested out these platforms and you've been across a couple of them with an effective strategy, you want to look at the one that's actually converting for you. Okay, this may require that you start off by using 3 or 4 different social platforms and then you narrow it down to what actually is resonating. But until you work effectively and strategically on multiple platforms, you really can't determine that one of them is not working for you. So that's where you need to be consulting with an expert. You need to be focusing on what other event professionals are using and really think about what is your audience. Okay, if your audience is other event pros, that's one place to work out. If you're looking for that consumer client, that's going to put you on a different platform. When it comes to social media, you can really utilize it also to do a rebrand teaser and launch campaign. So you're putting all this time into rebranding your site, into updating your logos and all of your assets. Give people that you already have on social media a little teaser that there's something else coming, right? That there's a big announcement. Get them excited, and that will help draw attention to your website when you finally do make this announcement so that they go and send their traffic there and check it out. Do you need an entirely new social strategy? Okay, if you've been utilizing the wrong platforms or getting social media leads, but they're not the right leads, you may have to adjust your strategy overall. So here's an example of a teaser campaign that I did for a rebrand on Instagram. Okay, started with, there was going to be a new logo, and we started with this series of graphics. Okay, and every couple of days we unveiled a new version of it, removing one of the brush strokes until finally we revealed the whole graphic. It got people excited, it made them curious, and it had them coming back. This coordinated with the Facebook campaign that had a new banner image, okay, that had the debut of the new website homepage in a graphic, and told people exactly what to do with one call to action. Check out our new website at jshayinc.com. The key elements to look at here is that it's a consistent design, okay, across both of the platforms, just sized for each one of them. It gets to the point. You don't want to use graphics that are going to have a ton of copy all over them, okay? That's what you can have a caption to add more to it, but it also should include one call to action. You've rebranded your site, go look at it, right? And coordinate it so that it actually runs on different days, okay? This way you tap into your Facebook audience, then you can tap into your Instagram audience, or vice versa. Maybe you have people that follow you on both, but they may not be checking in on both of them every single day. There's a couple of different Instagram strategies that you can utilize because as event professionals, this is one of the most popular platforms for you. Okay, so over here on the left, you'll notice with this one, this is not an event person, but she has a very consistent strategy because there is a similar color palette to every one of her photos. Okay, there's a little bit of pink, white, and then some denim on each of them. This one, on the other hand, has a much brighter color palette. Okay, seems like there isn't necessarily a lot of continuity between the content, except for the fact that you'll notice if you take a step back a little further, there's venues that are located in here, there's food, and then there's design and bright inspiration. Then over on this one, they went with kind of combining a bit of the two. Okay, so you often see these custom graphics that are created on Instagram, and people have tips to offer or inspirational quotes or motivational phrases, things like that. You don't have to have a specific pattern of every other post has to be one of these. But if you want to incorporate them into your brand and you have insights to offer, you can put them in there in any pattern you want. This one happens to be done every 6th photo is one of these custom graphics, okay? You can also update your page so that it goes back and forth, right? Maybe it's every other photo, Maybe it's every third photo, and then after a month, you change the pattern. Okay, that is a very specific strategy so that when someone sees one photo, they click through to see what your profile looks like. They see a very consistent image across the board. Okay, and you want them to have a consistent theme. So 3 different strategies across 3 different Instagrams. The biggest key with social media, though, is to be authentic and have fun. Okay, it's called social for a reason. You want that to resonate and to come through to your audience. Okay, so let's recap what we've done so far. You're updating your brand and trying to convey your new value proposition through your website. Then you're working on your social media. And then your brand assets are next. Okay, so brand assets include your business cards, all of your contracts and invoices, uniforms for your employees or your contractors, your product marketing materials, right? What are those pamphlets, the cards, the PDFs that you give out to people? Your swag. Okay, when you're at an event, you go to a trade show or something, do you have pens? Do you have koozies? Anything that had your logo on it before has to be updated as part of a rebrand. Then we go into your content marketing. Okay, this is another factor of your rebrand. This includes targeted emails, your thought leadership, right? Those downloads that you're creating, as well as your social media, which we've just covered. But social media fits into what is the broader scheme of content marketing. So again, anytime there's copy, we have to come back to this. How do you want to sound? The way that you chose to sound on your website should be consistent through every other type of copy that you're working on. If you're creating new pamphlets and PDFs, those need to also be factored in here, okay? And those need to have the same tone of voice through all of it. Your thought leadership. What's the purpose of it? The main goal is that you'll provide really valuable, high-quality information to both clients and prospects and position your company as an expert in its field, okay? The quickest way to do that and to get that content out there is through social media and through blog posts. One of the questions I get a lot then is, well, how often do I need to do anything? For social media, it really depends on the platform. The overall goal, though, with social is that consistency is key. Okay, if you're posting every single day on Instagram and then you skip 4 days in a row, you're going to notice a difference in your followers as well as in your engagement rates. With a blog, though, this is the most important thing, is that you only post as often as you have something of value to say. Okay, there's an antiquated way of looking at content marketing that used to say you needed to do quantity. Okay, you had to focus on the quantity of posts you were putting out there because that's what was really going to help your SEO for your website. That's what's going to help bring in more of those leads. But we are in such an overloaded mode of content now, and we're bombarded with it all over the internet and all over social media, that what separates you from all of these other providers out there is the quality of the content that you're producing. If you want to be thought of as an expert, don't say something just to say it. Say something because it needs to be said and other people need to hear it. Okay, that could be twice a week. It could be 3 times a week. It could only be once a week. But the point is that it has to be a high quality piece of content. So when you're working on your brand and you're building this blog, you need to think about extending the brand from the website into the blog itself. The blog can remain very consistent as far as the tone of voice overall. It also is an opportunity for you to be a little more consistent and a little bit more conversational, if you want to. Okay, so you want to have consistent messaging in your blog posts. So that's the first thing. You don't want to have a call to action in every single one. It gets really annoying to people and they tend to turn away because they think they're being sold over and over instead of give them the information. Okay, the more information you're willing to give away, the more people will really come back to you for all of those things that you're going to get paid to do. Okay, it's been proven time and time again. Give away the information that you would give to any stranger that you're talking to on the street. That opens the door for creating clients because you're developing a trust with them, right? Everything is not saying give away all of your proprietary information, but you do want to offer value to people. The more you can give value to them, the more they're going to see that inherent value in you and identify with your value proposition. right? You're not going to have to do multiple revisions on a proposal because they will get it. They'll get it because they've read about it and they've seen consistently over time, you are providing a value to them without expecting anything in return. And that is what humans want. They want to work with people who want to help them. Got to make sure your graphics and your photography choices are on brand, okay? A blog can be written by other people. You can have guest writers, but they should still be staying within the editorial and branding guidelines that you've created. Okay, if you don't allow for super dark photos on the rest of your website, you should not allow your writers to put dark photos on your blog. Okay, you want it to be consistent because it's still on the website, even though it's a separate section. The key to all of your content marketing is to look at delivering the right message to the right audience at the right time. If you want to reach that newly engaged female, okay, and you're going to reach her with a very specific message, okay, at a very different time than if you're going to reach the 60-year-old CEO of a corporation. It's a different platform because it's a different audience and they're reaching them at different times a day. So this is a pretty standard marketing perspective that just keeps saying it over and over in your head. Okay, this is what you should be tying back to. Am I sending the right message to the right persona at the right time for them? All right, so that's it. That covers just about everything that I wanted to today. Please stay in touch. I would love to answer more of your questions. If you have any, you can feel free to connect with me on social media at DCM Communications. I am also on Facebook. Okay. If you have additional questions, we don't have a platform for them at the moment right now, but please reach out to me. You can also visit my website at dcmcommunications.com. I hope that you got some great information from this. I would definitely welcome any questions that you have, as well as any feedback through the website. If you need help with your rebranding, I do have a team that here supports me, and I would love to hear from you. Y'all have a great day.